11:23 p.m., my phone was jolting as if possessed. Amanda flashed boldly on the screen, supposed to be out with friends, ignoring marital existence apparently. I let it buzz a few times before answering. No fear, no suspicion, just exhaustion, the kind that deep trust instills after years without checking the receipts. The instant I picked up, alarm bells rang. Not an emergency alarm, but a foreboding one. My stomach knotted and acid rose my throat faster than reason. The background noise was piercing laughter echoing shrilly, glasses breaking somewhere, a club track's thumping bass invading my ears. Amanda's voice was loud, careless, starkly different. You know what's odd? She was slurring, and I could almost taste the tequila in her words. She believes he considers her with Jenna and other uninteresting companions, replied a man's voice, full of amusement. You're wicked, girl. Wicked? She chuckled, intoxicated by her own malice. I'm an expert in deception, I said. Suddenly, the moist, smacking sound of her kissing him filled my ear. I clutched the phone tighter until it ached. My hands started shaking. Yet, I couldn't disconnect. I yearned to hear every detail, every vile word. I suspected he was now at home, acting sweet, waiting for me like an idiotic puppy. She sneered. Pitiful. I could sense their movements. Clothes rustling, her breaths growing heavier. His voice became softer. Did he perhaps know I had been with him in his car last month? My body stiffened. My jaw tightened, fearing I might fracture a tooth. I wished this was some kind of trick, a twisted joke. But the sarcastic laughter in her voice told me it was real. They were mocking me. As I lounged at home, presuming she was socializing over cocktails and chatter, my wife inadvertently exposed her deception for 6 uninterrupted minutes. That betrayal, like a live broadcast, pierced my ears in the very room where the man I once was the one who trusted her. Our relationship disintegrated. When the call abruptly ended, I remained motionless. The phone screen, lifeless before me, mirrored my own silence that echoed louder than any club music had ever done. I didn't weep or yell. Instead, I existed in a toxic moment, as if time itself had paused on my life. A chill distinctly different from the familiar one crept into my bones that night, not the kind alleviated by a blanket or hot water, but a chilling revelation that seemed to alter my genetic makeup. I was unaware that this was merely the beginning. Amanda would soon demonstrate how vast the betrayal could extend, revealing aspects of her personality I had never known. However, all these realizations were yet to come. Initially, it was only me. The thunderous sound of my heart splintering into countless sharp fragments echoed through the silence. That night, sleep eluded me. There was no attempt to feign slumber. Instead, I remained fixed in a solitary spot on the couch, grip unrelenting on my phone, gaze unwaveringly directed at the door, as though waiting for an unwitting victim to fall into traps laid by a crazed beast. With each advancing minute, my blood grew more boiling, my thoughts more sinister. The hands of the clock advanced from midnight to 1 a.m., then to 2 a.m. At 2:37, the front door clicked open. Amanda teetered inside, her high heels clattering rhythmlessly on the wooden floor. She exuded the stench of cheap vodka and elaborate deceit. Her makeup was smeared, hair disheveled in a manner that made my stomach churn. Initially, she failed to notice me. She was too preoccupied with giggling like a lunatic. When her eyes eventually fell upon me, her whole body jerked in shock. Goodness gracious, Jason, she slurred. You gave me quite the scare. Why are you sitting here in the dark like some sort of weirdo? I remained silent, biding my time before responding, detailing every unsightly aspect. The lipstick smudge on her jawline, the love bite emerging on her neck like a mark. And that's when she erred initially. She attempted to downplay it. She plonked her handbag onto the table and sprawled herself on the couch opposite me, legs spread indifferently. Girls' night was exhilarating, she remarked, aiming for nonchalance. You wouldn't have endured it. She chuckled, chucked out more laughter. The rage within me hardened into something icy and lethal. I drew out my phone, unlocked it, and showed her the call log. Her expression faltered. You contacted me tonight, I stated, maintaining a calm and controlled tone. Too controlled. 6 minutes. I perceived everything, Amanda. For a brief instant, just for a fleeting second, I glimpsed her true face. The one she never displayed before me. Panic, bare and unattractive, flashing across her countenance before she hastily reapplied the facade. "You're exaggerating," she retorted, folding her arms. "It was merely flirting. Innocuous. Everyone does it when they drink. Innocuous." The phrase resounded within me like a gunshot's echo. I leaned forward, my elbows on my knees, keeping my voice cool and menacing. "Amanda, do you routinely flirt with another man while resting your mouth on his neck? Do you often call someone pathetic while doing it?" She casually displayed contempt, even rolling her eyes. "Jason, please stop being such a melodramatic fool," she said. "Perhaps if you weren't so tedious, I wouldn't have to seek entertainment elsewhere." There it was, the knife twisting between my ribs, delivered with a smile. Shocked by her ease in inflicting pain, I recoiled. All those years of "I love you, you're my soulmate," they were hollow, insignificant, meaningless as dust particles floating through the air. "You're astonishing," I muttered. Amanda stood up, slightly off balance in her heels. "Whatever," she said. "Grow a backbone. This marriage has been lifeless for ages. You simply failed to notice due to your insignificant existence." She said it as if I were the letdown, as if I should be apologizing to her. She departed, her footsteps echoing like gunshots along the hallway toward our shared bedroom. I didn't pursue or protest. Instead, I remained seated, fixing my gaze on the spot she once occupied, a sense of emptiness resonating within me. It struck me then, a chilling revelation. She hadn't just betrayed me physically, she didn't cherish me. Perhaps she never did. This discovery didn't provoke tears, but rather anger and a newfound sense of danger. For the first time since that call, a somber clarity settled upon me. I was no longer going to be compliant. Tomorrow, Amanda would discover that I wasn't the docile pet she believed she could bully. No more. The following day brought a distinct shift. No melodious birdsong nor sunbeams filtering through curtains. Instead, an oppressive silence pervaded the house like a gathering storm. Amanda remained asleep in our bed, on her customary side, and the tranquil stillness that enveloped the house felt more like an impending tempest. I hesitated at the door, observing her asleep, finding a stranger in my bed. Her makeup was smudged on the pillowcase, and she left an unconcealed hickey on her collarbone. If I were anyone else, I might have shattered something. If I were less intelligent, I could have joined her in bed, feigning obliviousness to what transpired. But I was no longer that person. As she dribbled onto my pillow, I retrieved a notebook, the one Amanda had gifted me on our third anniversary, with an overly sentimental "forever" inscription, and began jotting down facts. Not a list of complaints or revenge fantasies, a factual account. She lied about her whereabouts. She ridiculed me to her paramour. She betrayed me physically. She gaslighted me when challenged. She blamed me for her actions. Rereading it, I felt something within me snap into clarity. Cold, determined, unyielding. I would not yell or plead or pursue her. I intended to inter her, not through violence, but with truth. I saved all data on my phone call logs, recorded conversations. Fortunately, I had an auto-running app for work calls that provided those ironic B****, TCH. Then I got down to business. I contacted Jenna, the friend Amanda allegedly spent the evening with. "Hey, just checking if Amanda made it home safely last night. It seemed like you two had a good time at the club." Jenna replied promptly after 30 seconds. "What? I thought she was with you? We didn't go out last night." The alibi shattered in an instant. I acted swiftly afterward, driven by a certain manic lucidity. Opened a fresh bank account. Documented every valuable item at home through photos. Started collecting receipts and statements. Arranged a meeting with a lawyer. Removed my name from all joint accounts that didn't require her signature. Each action was meticulously planned, each step methodically taken. 11:42 hours, Amanda ambled into the kitchen, hair in a disheveled tangle and adorned with one of my old shirts as if it were a trophy. She yawned majestically, oblivious to the looming closeness of the walls. "Good day," she murmured, her voice hoarse. "What are you doing up so early? You remind me of sh*T. I responded without pause, falsely claiming a meeting. On a Saturday, quite significant one. She made no inquiry. Naturally, she didn't. She was too engrossed in rummaging the fridge for unpaid for orange juice. Observing her act nonchalantly was strange, like watching a time bomb calmly counting down in my living space. She offered no apology, nor pretended. She simply assumed I would move past it, much like spitting in one's face and expecting gratitude for the attention. It was at this moment that realization struck me most profoundly. Amanda held no remorse. Amanda saw no reason for regret. This revelation made the impending event all the more effortless. For people such as her, a clean departure is undeserved. They ought to be unveiled gradually, publicly, ruthlessly. As for me, I was no longer planning on rescuing her. Instead, I would allow the rope to lose its tension and observe her as she chokes herself with it. The most satisfying part? She wouldn't sense it coming. Sunday seeped into Sunday afternoon. Amanda lounged within her house as if a self-anointed queen on her throne, flicking through her phone, sipping coffee that was undeserved, complaining about how exhausted she was from her reckless night. I barely paid attention. I merely watched. It felt like observing a fox dance in a coop after a massacre. Overconfident, negligent, foolish. I didn't require action. She was igniting her own life without realizing she was clutching the matches. By midday, she was FaceTiming someone with the bedroom door partially closed as if attempting subtlety. Her voice dipped into that saccharine, false tone she hadn't used with me in months. "Darling, I already miss you," she whined. Then a laugh. A laugh so insincere it made my teeth clench. I captured a 37-second video of Amanda disguising herself as someone she claimed to avoid a woman of ill repute. Proof. At around 15 o'clock, she apparently felt the need for fresh air and vanished, likely to rendezvous with her lover again. This suited me fine. As soon as the door closed, I sprang into action, retrieving a concealed USB stick for emergencies, filling it with every incriminating detail: screenshots, audio files, bank statements revealing suspicious withdrawals during her yoga sessions. Every lie, every infidelity. It wasn't merely gathering evidence for divorce. No, that would be too straightforward. I sought to submerge her in her own corruption first. Therefore, I innovated. I made replicas. One USB hidden in the car, another sewn within the lining of my work jacket, and a third mailed to my brother with instructions to open it if he didn't hear from me for a week. Yes, this strategy may sound paranoid, but you've never encountered the intensity in Amanda's eyes when she's backed into a corner. Then I contacted her mother. Kind, fastidious, critical Beverly, the same woman who spent the initial 5 years of our marriage treating me as if I wasn't worthy enough for her cherished daughter, picked up on the third ring. "Jason, how delightful to hear from you." "Indeed, right?" I maintained my voice composed. Composed. "Hello, Bev. Wanted to let you know Amanda's been having a difficult time recently. Figured she might require some assistance, given that she's been involved with another man and untruthful about it." No response, not even a sigh, just a frigid, dumbfounded emptiness. Eventually, she spoke up, voice trembling like a twig. "You understood correctly," I said. "Thought you deserved to be informed that your daughter exhibits similar traits as her father." Yes, it was a harsh remark, but I had long moved past being courteous. I terminated the call before she could retort, dropped the bomb, and withdrew from the aftermath. 5 minutes later, Amanda's phone commenced to explode with messages and calls. Texts. Calls. More texts. She burst in through the front door as a Category 5 hurricane, thrusting her phone at me. "What on earth did you tell my mother?" she shouted. I stood there, arms crossed, expression impassive. "Was it the truth, darling? Isn't that what you've always insisted upon?" She stared at me as if seeing me for the first time, devoid of warmth or affection, only shock and intense, simmering fury. Good, I wanted to unsettle her. I wanted her to spin so rapidly she didn't know which way was up. Because the brutal truth, the one that would truly dismantle her false little world, that was due tomorrow. Monday morning, early as can be, and Amanda was oblivious. I had another sleepless night again. But it wasn't from pain anymore, no, that chapter was closed. It was focus. Unadulterated, precise focus. Every action was already planned. Each piece was ready, just waiting for my touch to knock over the first one. Amanda tossed and turned beside me, feigning sleep. But her breaths were too ragged, too forced. She knew. She didn't foresee everything that was about to transpire. Her intellect wasn't enough to anticipate the severity of the situation. Yet, she sensed the ground beneath her heels starting to fracture at dawn. At precisely 7 a.m., I donned my attire as if it were an ordinary Monday. A button-down shirt, trousers, and polished footwear completed the ensemble. Amanda remained under the covers, unresponsive, feigning indifference. Feigning fear. It served her right to dwell in apprehension. I retrieved my car keys, but rather than proceeding to work as customary, I navigated the city to her office, building a colossal glass structure where Amanda paraded like some formidable marketing deity. At 7:45, I strategically parked my car across the street, a USB drive clenched tightly in my pocket, observing the lobby through the windshield. Amanda's supervisor, Rob, appeared as punctually as a clockwork, coffee in one hand, an earpiece lodged securely in his ear. He was an ideal target, a no-nonsense, *T-type who abhorred scandal above taxes. At 7:50, I stepped onto the street, strolled into the lobby, and requested him at the reception desk. Polite, amiable, proficient. In just 5 minutes, I was inside his office. I didn't waste a moment. I placed the USB on his mahogany desk as if it were a grenade. Everything you need to know about Amanda's latest extracurricular activities is contained within, I stated flatly, including the part where she utilized company time and resources for her personal relationship with her boyfriend. Rob stared at me, seeming taken aback. "Why are you informing me of this?" he asked. I flashed a genuine, sharp smile. "Because I'm divorcing her. And I thought it best you know before it tarnishes your company as well." I exited his office before he could reply. By the time Amanda arrived at 9 o'clock in her power suit and fake grin, the walls were already closing around her. Rob summoned her to his office almost immediately. I sat in my car parked opposite, surveying through binoculars as if watching a premiere of the greatest movie ever produced. Half an hour later, Amanda emerged from the building, flushed and quivering, holding a cardboard box filled with her belongings. Fired, without drama or uproar, just raw, heart-wrenching embarrassment. It wasn't enough. Not just yet. I bided my time until she reached home, still in her heels, still clutching the box as if it could miraculously save her from sinking, before I served the final blow. The divorce papers. I placed them with force on the kitchen counter, like a death sentence. A thick pile, neatly folded, indisputable. Amanda stood there, motionless, resembling a rabbit under a hawk's gaze. "Sign them," I said flatly, "or I reveal everything to your friends, family, and possibly even the local PDA. You know their fondness for scandals." For months, she had been participating in charitable events to maintain her image as a good wife, but now she was at a loss for words and couldn't deny or manipulate any longer as I held all the cards. Tears welled up in her eyes, possibly genuine or insincere, and she whispered, "Jason, can't we talk about this?" I responded, "Talk. You've destroyed everything, Amanda. I'm just cleaning up the mess." She sighed, shook, and cried as mascara ran down her face, but I felt nothing, no remorse, no sadness, only a sense of freedom. She said nothing more after her sigh. No apology, no explanation. The heavy, stunned silence that sets in when someone realizes they've become the hunted instead of the hunter. I gathered the documents, arranged them neatly in a folder, and left them on the counter as if concluding a business deal. No ceremony, no spectacle. I wasn't granting her the pleasure of a farewell speech. Amanda remained standing in the kitchen, disheveled in her office attire, her cheeks streaked with mascara like battle wounds, still clinging to that pitiful box from her old job. All her constructed illusions, marriage, career, reputation, were reduced to smoldering ashes around her. I didn't cast a glance back as I exited. The outdoor air was frosty and crisp. It felt purer than it had in years. As if the decay that had plagued my life was finally leaving my body, I drove aimlessly at first, letting the engine purr under my hands, windows open, wind jolting me awake. Inside me, I anticipated a deluge of sorrow and desolation, but none came. Instead, there was a peculiar, jagged sensation that struck near the city's outskirts. It wasn't the loss of Amanda I mourned, it was the demise of a deception. I parked at a diner alongside the highway, one with sticky tables and weak coffee, and took a seat by the window, solitary in my booth. There, I consumed a greasy burger, sipped on black coffee, and faced an uncharted future. As I ate, thoughts of the wreckage she left behind filled my mind, the pretenses of girls' nights out, the family gatherings where she feigned affection for my parents while secretly texting her lover, the moments when self-doubt gnawed at me as I questioned if I was foolish to feel the distance between us. Every recollection tainted now. Every smile she bestowed, every to-and declaration of love, every shared joke, they all seemed like a fraud, a sham, a performance. And what pained me most? The realization that it had all been staged. In her realm, Amanda considered loyalty foolishness, kindness feebleness, and love merely a means to secure a better life. That moment, it struck me. She never truly loved me for who I genuinely was. Instead, she admired the house, the security, the future I provided. As soon as the novelty faded or boredom set in, she discarded me, all while finding amusement in the act. It stung not because I yearned for her, but because I had given her my all without reservation, and she treated it with indifference. Disposable, interchangeable. Yet, there's a crucial aspect Amanda failed to comprehend. Some shattered pieces do not merely mend, they evolve. She didn't fracture me. Instead, she strengthened, hardened, and sharpened me. The old Jason, the trusting, loyal, innocent spouse, ceased to exist. His replacement. I vowed not to expend another word on anyone who viewed me as a substitute plan. I settled the bill, left money on the table, and stepped out into the biting wind with pride in my stride. No more Amanda, no more acting, no more apologizing for being who I am. It was time to rebuild, not with her, not for her, but for me. It wasn't long before Amanda understood that her downfall wouldn't be a silent one. The messages began arriving first. As I sat on the couch in my humble, compact, unpretentious new apartment, the notifications kept coming. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Messages from Jason pleading for a conversation. He claimed I was exaggerating the situation. We could resolve this issue. However, what did she intend to fix our marriage or her image? Let me correct that all Amanda cared about was salvaging her public persona. I remained silent, not when she attempted manipulation through guilt, not when she tried anger, not even when she resorted to seduction, sending old photos with past significance. I had stopped understanding her language of deceit, but it grew worse, much, much worse. By Tuesday, her tight-knit group of friends became aware. It turned out that when one gossipmonger learned the truth, it spread like an uncontrollable wildfire, particularly juicy truths, those capable of shattering the carefully crafted picture-perfect image Amanda had worked tirelessly to create over the years. Jenna contacted me first. I'm truly sorry. I didn't know. We thought you two were a perfect pair or something. This is shocking. Shocking. No, this was Amanda revealed. Then came the social media repercussions. Posts vanishing, pictures disappearing, status updates changing from Mary to Jason to nothing at all. Friends disconnecting, numerous comments under old photos. Falsified smiles, fabricated lives, fake marriage. I observed it unfold like a bystander witnessing his old house burn down, knowing there was nothing worth salvaging inside. Amanda attempted to reframe the situation, naturally. She posted an insincere tale about how sometimes two people merely grow apart and wish each other well, portraying herself as the tragic heroine of a love story gone awry. Nonsense. I remained silent, refrained from commenting, and chose not to correct her. I was certain the truth would eventually come to light for those who truly mattered, and it did. Her mother, Beverly, the self-proclaimed queen of righteousness, unexpectedly appeared at my new residence. She stood there shivering in her costly coat, visibly ill. I nearly shut the door on her. Yet, a part of me desired to hear her out. to confront directly the woman who had a role in nurturing a monster like myself. "I'm terribly sorry," she murmured, voice trembling. "I can't comprehend what happened to her." I leaned against the door frame, arms folded, my heart as hard as stone within me. "Perhaps she was always this way," I replied, "and you were simply too preoccupied with polishing appearances to notice the decay beneath." At Beverly's flinch, it seemed as if I struck her. "I'm glad it hurt," I said. I didn't require her sympathy, I didn't want her remorse, and most certainly, I did not seek her absolution. Without another word, she departed, returned to her Lexus and departed, seemingly aged a decade from upon arrival. What about me? I retreated indoors, secured the door, and fastened all locks. Not out of fear, but freedom. Amanda wasn't done pleading, though. That night, she called. The screen flashed her name, Amanda, in a twisted jest. I let it ring persistently. Eventually, voicemail picked up. Her voice quivered, weak, desperate. "Jason, please. I made a mistake. I didn't intend to hurt you. We can rectify this. Please, I love you." Sobs followed, a broken chuckle. "You are the finest thing that ever transpired for me. Please don't discard us." I continued to gaze at the phone long after her message concluded, not because I was swayed or felt anything, but due to her diminished, powerless voice. The mighty Amanda, the manipulator, the queen bee, the woman who believed she could shatter hearts like fragile porcelain, now reduced to a humble plea. It ought to have been gratifying. It should have elated me. Yet it wasn't. Winning against Amanda wasn't triumphant. It was merely avoiding destruction, and I'm grateful I managed it. The days following the voicemail were ominously tranquil, a stillness that was anything but peaceful with Amanda. Silence for her was planning. I knew her enough to realize she wouldn't disappear, nursing her wounds. Amanda wasn't made that way. She didn't know how to concede defeat gracefully. She didn't know how to let go entirely. True to form, the next phase of her futile battle commenced. On a typical Friday afternoon, as I was wrapping up work, an unknown number called. Normally, I wouldn't answer such calls, but something urged me this time. Perhaps it was intuition. The voice on the line was Officer Langston from the city police. They needed my presence at the station. It was about a report lodged against me. Report? Hearing those words sent a chill down my back. Amanda. Yes, it had to be her. And I was correct. In a cold, small interrogation room, I faced a file bearing my name as Officer Langston detailed Amanda's accusations against me: harassment, stalking, and threats. She alleged that I was endangering her emotional well-being. My reaction was almost comical. It was a feeble attempt at manipulation that held no weight. Instead, it deepened the resentment I felt towards her. It wasn't about seeking justice. It was about manipulating the story, painting herself as a victim before the truth became too widespread. Pitiful. In a calm manner, I recounted the background: our divorce, her infidelity, the proof, and the incriminating phone call that caused Officer Langston's eyebrows to rise noticeably. With ease, I presented the USB drive as if it were a sweet treat. "You're free to leave, Mr. Matthews," Langston said after an hour. Appears she neglected the fact we scrutinize phone records before accepting tall tales. Checkmate. After exiting that police station, I felt lighter than I had in years. Amanda had completely demolished every last connection. Family, eliminated. Friends, discarded. Job, vanished. Reputation, ripped apart publicly. And now the law? She couldn't even manipulate that to her advantage anymore. That night, she sent one final message, a lengthy paragraph expressing regret, disorientation, confusion about her actions, pleading for assistance, and claiming I was the only one who truly cared for her. Yet, pity is for the feeble, and I wasn't feeble anymore. I scrutinized the message briefly, then did what I should have done from the outset when she first started deceiving me. I erased it, blocked her number, blocked her email, blocked every social media account she could ever employ to creep back into my life. I didn't require an apology. I didn't need resolution. Amanda ceased being a chapter in my life. She transformed into a cautionary note, a vivid red flag I would never disregard again. Some betrayals one endures, others one ascends from like a man, extracting himself from a grave another tried to entomb him in. And as for me, I was not merely alive, I was liberated. Amanda, however, became nothing more than a phantom, an echo behind a door that would never be opened again. The inaugural day of my new life did not herald with fanfare or sunlight or some cinematic revelation. It arrived in silence, a heavy, profound silence. No ringing phone, no forced smiles over scorched coffee, no hidden daggers lurking within sweetened words. Just me, an empty apartment, a future now free from Amanda's contamination. For the first time in years, I could breathe without sensing deception in the air. Yet reconstituting from nothing was no simple feat. It wasn't glamorous. It was grueling. I didn't just lose a spouse. I lost companions who opted for Amanda's side without seeking the truth. I lost relationships we had cultivated together. I lost a part of myself that couldn't be retrieved, the man who once held loyalty in high regard. There were instances when I had to expel bitterness from my mouth as if it were bile. There were nights when sleep eluded me due to the betrayal constantly replaying in my mind like a malfunctioning projector. Yet, every time I felt myself drowning, I recalled one undeniable fact. She didn't emerge victorious. Amanda believed she could destroy my life and escape unscathed. She thought I would return, grovel, forgive. She didn't anticipate the portion of me she exterminated would be replaced with something more resilient. She didn't expect that the man she had an affair with was the same one who would set ablaze the entire castle where she was still trapped. I began modestly. I repaired my credit, altered all passwords, severed ties with anyone even slightly tainted. I worked out rigorously. Each bead of sweat was another lie leaving my body. I voyaged. Though brief excursions away from home, places unexplored as a duo, creating fresh memories and breaths of new air. 2 relationships ensued, handled with caution. No more illusions, no more unfounded faith. The women I encountered, some admirable, others not, each contributed to the construction of an irrefutable truth. I was not shattered. I was not unlovable. I merely bestowed my heart upon a woman who didn't merit its possession. And truthfully, that wasn't my disgrace. It belonged to her. Amanda served as a warning in our social circle, the girl whose collapse was so spectacular that it drew everyone's gaze. Whispers followed about her employment, failed rebound relationships, her frantic attempts to regain importance. As far as I know, she relocated to another town, attempting to rebuild under a new social media identity, a different hairstyle, feigning she wasn't the architect of her own ruin. And me, I remained indifferent. No longer. Amanda was a ghost story I'd recount to myself when I needed to recall what endurance looks like. Not bitterness, not retribution. Freedom is more burdensome than they let on. Genuine freedom, wrestled free from deceit and sorrow, doesn't arrive gently on a gentle wind. Instead, it descends with the force of a mighty blow, dividing your past life decisively in two. It requires patience to learn how to bear it without being overwhelmed by its weight. Yet, I managed. A year later, standing on a pier 100 miles distant from the town where Amanda shattered us, I finally grasped the true essence of endurance. Not merely existing or drifting through life like a phantom, but truly living. Living unapologetically, fearlessly. Amanda, she lingers somewhere out there, still combing through Tinder accounts, still deceiving new people, still making do with quick fixes and cheap fragrances. Still feigning. She hasn't evolved. She hasn't transformed. And that is the true retribution, a penalty far crueler than any I could have inflicted upon her. Stuck in her ways, she remains herself. Each dawn finds her staring at her reflection, confronted with a person who destroyed every ounce of goodness that ever dared to love her. As for me, I constructed something resilient from the debris: new companionship, genuine bonds, people who didn't abandon ship when my mask shattered. New pursuits, passions I never had the luxury to explore while coddling Amanda's fragile self-image. And then, without warning, a fresh affection. Not instantaneous, not coerced. A person who faced me squarely, seeing not only my scars and bruises, but also the lessons they represent, and remained unflinching. Someone who won my trust inch by hard-fought inch, not because they were flawless, but because they were authentic. It was freedom that granted me all this, not Amanda, not absolution, not resolution. Only the harsh reality, the kind that severs deep enough to liberate you. If you're here, on a couch at midnight, hearing the woman you adored laughing in another man's embrace, let my message ring loud and clear. You endure. You recover. One day, you barely recall them, except perhaps as a cautionary tale. It's not merely healing, you transform.